Hi everyone, welcome to new video. In this video, I'm going to discuss with you one of the very important topics, which is data types. Here you can see, and here are the topics that I am going to discuss in this video. We are going to see what is data types, and also we'll see how to use or where we can use the data types, and also we will be seeing that what are the you can see key points to know that if you are working as a Java developer. So let's start. What is data type? Data type is something which is deals about which is talking about the types of your data, and also it is signifies that what is the size of your data is going to be occupied into the memory. So if I say, for example, I'm saying integer, and I'll say, let's say int is equal to 10, right? So what is this statement means? This statement means this is something. This is my variable name. So this is my variable name, right? And this is my data that I'm going to store into this particular variable. And also, when I say int, this is something which is saying that what is the type of data that you are having into your particular variable, right? So this is my type. So here you can see that this is the initially we are using type of the data. This is the requirement thing. This is very important when you are going to declare any variable in Java. So this is a must-have thing. So for that reason, Java is called as strongly typed very language. Strong, strongly typed language. Okay. So this is one of the reason why we say Java is a strongly typed language. So because if you are going to declare any variable in Java, you must have to say what is the type of variable that you are going to use. So this is an interview question. So what is the why we say Java is a strongly typed language, right? So you must have to know that why we say Java is a strongly typed language. Now let's coming to the next point. What are the different types of data types we have in Java. So we are going to discuss that on more details here. So we'll be discussing on the data types. There are the different type of data type we have in Java. So what are the types of data type we have? So let's discuss on this. So types of here one more point we can add types of data type, right? So this is another point that we are going to discuss. This is the main topic you can see. Now let's see what is the data type, types of data type. If I see data type we are generally we are very you can say dividing into two types of data types. Those are let's say if I say data type, right? So data type is basically there are two type of data type we have. One is your primitive data type, another is your non-primitive data type. We say primitive data types, that means the numbers which are very small, or you can see that is a very basic numbers, or very there is no, you can say, simple you can see variables, there is no complexity. That does mean, that means let's say I have some numbers 10, 12, right? So these are the primitive or unique numbers, right? Or we have characters c, a, x, or in capital also we can have. So these are something which is, you can see, simple one. There is no complexity. There is no set of parameters, no set of data, right? So these are something which is called as a primitive. Okay. Also, we can have Boolean values. Let's say for true and false. So these are also false to your primitive data types, true or false. When we talk about, these are nothing but, you can say, simple and unique data types. But non-primitive data types are those which is having actually multiple data. You can say set of data. Let's say I have an array. An array, we are storing some numbers. Let's say 10, 20, 15, 5, right? So if I store a numbers collection of numbers into a particular data type, so that data types, let's say this is my array, right? So this array is now is your primitive data type. Similarly, we can have a string. Let's say I have a string called Java, right? If I say Java, So that Java itself is a non-primitive data type because this is a text which is type of string, and this string is nothing but you can say this Java is actually basically the combination of J plus A plus B plus A, right? So these are small, these J, A, V, A, all are small characters, right? Single characters, and all are single character in the sense all are not primitive data types, right? So it is a collection of primitive data types. So that's why Java, the type of variable we are using for Java is string. So this is why the reason we are saying that string is non-primitive data types. Of this concept is clear to you guys. Now let's talk more about the primitive data types. These primitive data types, furthermore, it is divided into two type of primitive data types. One is your Boolean type and a Boolean, BOOLEAN. Another is your numeric. Okay. So when we say Boolean, it does actually include your this when your value is true or false kind of things. So those kind of data we are representing for with the Booleans, and or apart from uh, true or false, the other type of data, let's say all the numerics and the you can see all the characters, right? So these are combining. We are this combination of types, data types, we are saying as a numeric. So numeric, all again we are dividing it into two parts that we can see is a character and you can say integral, right? Similarly, Boolean is nothing but we can say this is a Boolean type, right? For character, we have type as a character, char, cat, right? But for integral, we are dividing it into again two types of numbers. So this is something character is representing only the characters. This is something which is representing all the characters. So this set of data we are calling as a character. But we can have not in the numeric part, we can have some decimal pointer values also. Let's say 10.05, right? So we are dividing it. These are my whole number or complete number, and these are my real numbers or decimal pointer numbers. So based on the complete number or decimal pointer number, we are dividing this integral number into two different type of numbers, two different type of data types. So these data types are now we can say as a integer, and so these are furthermore we are dividing into two types, integer, and we are dividing into floating point, right? Now, if you look onto this integer, so this is now specifying these the complete numbers, right? So these are specifying the complete numbers, and these are specifying the decimal pointer numbers. Okay. Now these integer numbers we are again defining into four different type of data types. So those data types are the important here now. They are what are they? They are byte, short, int, and long. Similarly, for floating point numbers also we have basically two type of data types. One is float, another is your double. Okay, so these are the different type of data types that we have. These data types we have actually what all we got actually here. If I write down all the data types in short here inside the table format, we can see data types. So we can write it like we have Boolean types of data, we have character types of data, we have byte types of data. So I'm writing from one side, from this side to this side. So we have byte types of data, we have short type of data, short. We have integer type of data, long, float, and double. right? So these are the different type of data. From this, you already got that boolean is dealing with the true and false. Character is dealing with the characters. It can be your alphabetic, um, you can see capital character or small characters. And this from this below of this, all these types of data dealing with the numbers. And from this number, you already got that from byte to short, int, long. These are dealing with the complete numbers, and these are dealing with the decimal pointer numbers. That also we are got. Now the question arises that why, if there are these all four byte, short, int, and long, this all four is dealing with the complete numbers, then why there are different so many types of number? You can see data types we have in Java, right? So this is question, guys. To understand this, why there are different types of complete number data types in Java, I'll show you one example in our real life. Let's say I want to store some data into a particular container, right? So what I'll do, let's say I'm marketing something, and I want to store some data. Let's say I'm a oil producer, right? I sell oil, or I am a producer of oil, right? Now this oil producer, let's say I have some requirement where I can produce a bottle of oils, right? So I'll sell the oils in a bottle. Okay, so there is a customers who will be buying the 100 ml of oil, right? There are some customers who are interested in buying 250 ml of oil, right? Some customer need more at a time, so might be 500 ml, and some customer need more size in the size, right? So 1 liter, right? And some can need more than of that, 5 liter, 10 liter, right? So according to the customer need, so if I design a same size of container for all these requirement, is that going to be helpful? Let's say I have designed a bottle. Uh, let's say I have designed a bottle for fulfilling all the customer need, right? So let's say this is the bottle which can contain 10 liter of oil, right? So it is good to send a 100 ml of oil into a 10 liter of bottle? Definitely not, right? Because 100 ml is nothing but it is occupying this amount of space. So we are just wasting this huge amount of space there in this particular container, right? To avoid those things, so what we do actually, we design according to the need. So my need is 100 ml, so I will design a smaller bottle for this, right? So I'll go with the smaller bottle which is be enough for 100 ml of oil storage. For 250 we'll design a more bigger size of bottle, right? So that it should store 250. For 500 we'll design more bigger size of bottle, right? So this way we'll be actually designing different size of containers, you can see. So similarly in Java also, what happens? Java, we deals with the some data, right? We deals with the numbers, we deals with the characters, we deals with the different you can say data types, right? Let's say there are some numbers there which is dealing with the person age, right? Person age. Now the person age, I know that person age cannot be you can say more than 120, right? Let's assume that person age cannot be more than 120, right? That is something the highest number I can assume, I can guess, right? So it can be in between 0 to 120, not a bigger of that, right? So I know if I going to store in the age of a particular person, I know what is the range of this age is going to be. It will be false in between 0 to 120, right? So in that case, I should not use a big container. But let's say I'm talking about the size of a particular company, employee size, right? So employee size. Now the employee size can be your 0 to how many number of employees it can to goes to your lakhs, it can goes to your million, it can right. So so if we according to the size, this size in will can be it can be in thousands, it can be lakhs, or it can be in millions. So according to the size, now you can understand that for storing the percentage or for storing the employee size, there are the different size of data can arise. So let's say one company size is 10 lakh, or let's say 10 lakh, right? So this is the number of employees for a particular company. So definitely now you can understand the difference between this particular number and this number. Now tomorrow I want to store a mobile number, right? So the mobile number is 10 digit. Sorry. I want to store mobile number. Now you know that mobile number comes 10 digit, right? So if I say, right, so this is a 10 digit number. Now you can understand that this 10 digit number is more bigger than of this number, right? So this is a smallest number I can think of. So better than greater than of this number, these are the more greater, and this is again greater than number, right? Now this way, if I talk about some numbers which is there in the huge, there is a so large number, right, amount of number. So what for those cases my digit, let's say I have a number which is having you can say 10, or after that there is a lot of huge number, right? So how to deal with these numbers? So will you be taking the same case here? That case I have shown you. Will you be taking the same size of memory? So to store this amount of this data, I need a big size of container in the memory, right? So for that and for dealing with this data, I can have a small size of memory. To dealing with these things, to handle those things smartly, Java provides us different size of container. So here you can see byte each, which is one byte, which is something which is going to be the small, which is going to contain the smallest size in the memory. After that, short is bigger than byte, int is bigger than short, then long is bigger than integer. So these are the specifying byte, short, int, long. This specifying the size of the area needed in the memory in Java, right? So this is what it is signifies. Now you I think you have already got that what is the need of knowing this thing, right? When to use byte, when to use short, when to use int, when to use long, right? So now let's understand that what is the you can say capacity of this particular data types, right? So let's talk on this. Let me remove these things. Okay. Now, to understand that when to use byte, when to use short, when to use long, we have to understand the what is the size they are going to occupy in the memory. Remember one thing: when we go from top to bottom, from this side to this side, this size is going increased. So, from these are representing my complete numbers. These are representing my decimal pointer numbers. So, float is taking lesser number of size than double. So the double is bigger than float. Similarly, for byte is smaller than short, short is smaller than int, and int is smaller than long. In different way, I can say long is the greatest one among of these four, okay, data types. Now let's see what is the size of this all these particular type of data types that is occupied in the table in the Java memory, right? So let's see there what is the size they are occupying. Boolean is always safe that it is occupy the 1 bit of memory in the memory area. It is the smallest one. You do not need any you do not need big amount of area in your particular memory, right? If I talk about character, this is taking the 2 byte of memory in your memory area. So character is 2 byte. Similarly, if I talk about the byte, it consumes 1 byte. Okay, in your memory. And short, they are 2x byte. Short is 2x double of byte, so it is a 2 byte. Again, integer is double of short, that means it is 4 byte. Again, long is double of int, that means it is a 8 byte. And float is double of, sorry, float is 4 byte. And you can say double is double of float, that means it is consuming the 8 byte of memory in JVM. Now, as we got to know what all are the size of these particular memories, now we have to understand that what is the range of data uh, they can store in the memory, right? So let's say if I take byte type of variable in the program, if I say byte number or byte a is equal to 10, but can I use byte is equal to 1000? We cannot use because the range of byte is less than of 1000. It cannot store the data 1000. So how to know that who is what is the range of this particular data types, right? That is something we have to understand. So here one rule is there, guys. If you do not know, I'll tell you. Here you know that this bit and what is the relation between bit and byte. You have to know one thing. One byte is equal to 8 bit. Okay, so one byte is equal to 8 bit. Now you can understand that byte is going to have 8 bit of memory. Short is 2 byte in the sense 16 bit. So similarly, integer 4 byte is means it is having actually 32 bits. Okay, now the idea is when we want to calculate the you can say number range of a particular variable, particular data types, right? So how to calculate the range? The formula is we have to now formula. Okay, so the formula is we calculate the range like this way. Let's say size of a byte. Okay, so size of a byte is we know 1 byte. We can say is equal to 8 bit, right? So if it is a 8 bit, so the formula is it can have so maximum numbers. So maximum numbers it can have means how many quantity of data numbers it can bit it can have actually 2 to the power exponential of its size. Okay, 2 8 2 to the power 8. So that means it is equal to 2 to the power 4 into 2 to the power 4. So it becomes 256. Okay, so 256 number that is something that the this many numbers it can store. So 256 in the sense of if I plot it into a graph, let's say this is my graph and this is my middle point which is 0 starting from 1 2 3 4 5 6. This way it will go 1 2 3 4, right? And the end one I let's see. And in the negative side also remove this, and negative side it become -1 -2 -3 -4 this way in the negative side, right? That is something we know. This is negative side and this is my positive side. Now by both the side it can have the maximum 256 number. Okay, 256 in the both side. So one side is definitely you can understand now, one side is 256 by 2, so that is 128. So one side we can have 128 is the maximum position, and in the negative side we can have 128 maximum position. So if I count always positive numbers start from 0. So that count, this is first position, this is second position, this is third position. So if in this way we go, so till 128th position we will be ending up with the 127, right? Because 0 is first position, 1 is second position, 2 is third position. So it's actually index minus 1, right? So definitely if I go till 128th position, so that means the end position number is 127. So this is the maximum number in the positive side a byte can store. Okay. Similarly, if you go to the negative side, it is start from the -1, -2, -3. Count start from -1. So this is first position, and this is second position, this is third position. So in this way, if I go toward the next negative side, this side also we will be having 128 numbers of data. So the last index, last number is going to have that is nothing but -128. Okay, so the range of byte type of data it become now -128 to 127. Hope this concept is clear to you. So it can store data from -128 to 127, not beyond of that. If you are going to use data type as a byte, so you cannot store 128 because it is out of range. Similarly, in the negative side, if you want to use 129, if you want to store that data into a byte type, you cannot store it. Similarly, so this way we can say the range of the numbers. So if you calculate the range of the number, so for byte, what it actually the range, it range that comes into 120 minus 128 to 127. Similarly, you can calculate 2 to the power 8, sorry, 2 byte, that means 16 bit, right? So 16 bit is equal to, you can calculate the range here, 2 to the minus 2 to the power 16 to 2 to the power 16 minus 1, right? So in this way we can calculate the range of these variables, right? So similar way we can calculate, sorry, total it can have 2 to the power 16. So if we calculate the data of 2 to the power 16, so it will actually become something like, so it can have total how many number of data, 2 to the power 16. So if you calculate 2 to the power 16 divided by 2, so you'll see in the negative side it will be having actually 32,768. To positive side it can have data like 32,767, right? So this is the range for your short. Similarly, we can calculate for int and long, right? So for int also, it will be having how many number of data? It can have maximum 2 to the power 32. This is the maximum number for both combining positive and negative, and we can calculate how many number can be to the negative and to the positive side. So this is how you can get to know that if you are going to use byte, your data cannot be beyond of this particular value, right? If you choose for short, your data cannot be beyond of this value. For integer also we can get, and long also there is we will be getting the numbers. So this is how, and also for similar way we can calculate the range for float and double. So float and double also we can calculate in the same way. So this is how we'll get to know that what is the range it is going to support. Okay, guys. Let's see in practical example. So it will be clear to you guys. I'll take you to the IntelliJ. Let me create a new class here. I'll say name as data types. Let me take a main method. So I'll say integer. Let me take as a byte. So I'll say byte is equal to 10. You can see there is no issue. Now let's we said that for byte the maximum range it can store minus 128 to 127, right? So let's say if I try to store a number of byte b is equal to minus 128, you can see there is no issue, or there is no error. I can store the number. But what if I try to use minus 129? Now you can see I'm getting error. It is I'm not able to store the data. Similarly, if I let's say if I try to store by type of data in positive side, so let's say 127, I am able to store. This is the maximum size, maximum data which it can store. But if I try to store 128, you can see I'm not able to store, right? So this is how we have to know that we are getting that what is the maximum size that we can store into a particular data type. Okay, hope this concept is clear to you guys. I want to discuss important things that I want to discuss with you. Just give me a second. Okay. So there are some default values also. If you are using the different kind of data into your particular class, so there are some specific default values also being stored. So this is something you can say default size. Okay. And also there are some you can say default size and default values also. Default value. So this boolean type and character type, byte type, short type, integer, long, float, and double, right? They all have their default size, default values also. So if I take any boolean type of data, the default value of type of boolean is going to be a false always, okay, in your memory. And if you say character, it is always your zero, but that is used like this way. If you say byte, the default value is going to be a 0. All the complete numbers from here to here, they are having the default number as default values as 0. So this is 0, is 0. Integer is also 0. Float is also 0, but it is represented. Sorry, long is also 0, but it is represented as L, 0 L. Okay. So these are the default values. I'll show you how you can see in the example. Let's say Here I am declaring one particular variable, so integer x. I'm taking another byte type of variable, let's say y. I'm taking one double or float, let's say z, right? So I'm not assigning any data and I'm not assigning any variable values here, right? So if you want to print, say I want to print x, y, z, right? So let me take declare those as static. Okay. So if I run this code, you can see integer x is printed 0, byte printed 0, but float it is printing me in the in the 0 means decimal pointer value, right? Similarly, if I take a boolean type of data, so let's say boolean, I'm saying flag, right? So if I print this s out flag, now let's see what print. Let me take character also, so I'll say char and ch, right? And I'll print the s out and I'll say ch. Let me take those as static also. Okay, now let's print it. Now see the result. We are getting flag as false. It is printed, but we are not getting any data here. But it is a space. Instead, it is printing just a blank space, right? So this is how, and this is what the data, you can say, default values of this particular data types of variables. Now, one more interesting thing is from this data type, we can see that variables that we declare, different type of variables that we have declared, right? Now one more important thing is, we have declared those particular variables. So once you have declared that, we have seen that they are consuming some default values, right? We're not getting any error, any null pointer exception we are not getting. But what if you try to declare any particular variable into your inside of your method? Let's say I'm saying integer and I say num, like this, and if you try to use into your code, right? Let's say I'm printing this print num, right? Now you can see it is not allowing you to print the num because Java is it is a you can see before you execute the test, before you execute your code, it is saying that there is a check, right? Understand that we have declared one integer x where we did not assign any value, but we are able to print, right? But inside of this method, we are trying to declare a variable without any value, but we are trying to print that particular variable we are not able to print. So if you keep your mouse over here, it is saying that variable num might not have been initialized. So this is one thing to note, guys, that these data types, when you declare in the inside of a class, right, that can be uninitialized also. You might maybe you can not you are not initializing, but you can use that inside of your code. There is no issue. But if you are declaring any particular variable inside of your method, that cannot be, you cannot use those particular variables without assigning the data into these variables. Now, this is something a null check is Java is doing if you are using inside a particular method. Okay, so hope this is clear to guys. This is a variable that we have declared, and in this variable, here you can see num. This is a variable we have declared, and this variable, okay, this variable is uninitialized. Because of that, we are not able to use that particular variable. But you can see that this is also uninitialized. These are also uninitialized, right? But we are still able to use. The reason is Java provide the default values to this particular. By default, if you are not allowing assigning the values to these variables, by default Java assign the default values to those variables if they are your class variables. Okay, But what if you are using any particular variable which is there inside your local method, so those local variables are not having the any default values. So this is something you have to understand. This is something you have to know. This is something you should have to always consider about. If you're declaring any particular local variable, that must have been initialized before you use. Okay, but in case of your class level variable, that can be uninitialized. You will not get any error, and those variables will be assigned with the default values according to the data type. Hope this concept is clear to you guys. And after that we'll release another video on this non-primitive data types, so that and we'll see more analysis on what is the difference between primitive and non-primitive data types. Till this video I'll end up here. Thank you guys, thanks for joining, and thanks for loving this